things that I've done since yesterday's video are we fixed the loader has been completely fixed. Now it does exactly what I want it to do. I'll show you in a moment. Even fixed that issue with the room data where it would not load correctly, and we were trying to kind of figure out what the problem was, and I will detail in a moment what that problem was. And yeah, so we go up to our loader, we hit load, everything loads exactly as expected. We've got our Moosecats inside their Moosecat rooms, and this menu is all correct. You know, that's exactly what we want to see. We got our one adventure, even if the text probably should be better. I'm actually curious about that real quick. Are we able to... Oh, yeah, let's go look. Font asset creator, sprite importer. I'm just checking to see if there is a window for... Oh, it would be under project settings. Let's see if there's any defaults we can do here. We want that. Auto size ratio is fine. Sure, we'll go with that. We'll see how that helps. Yeah, so we were able to put that all together, and yeah, not much else to say, really. Oh, right. The issue that we were having, and by we, I mean really me, but it was here. So what was happening is they calling this function, this debug function in here, would cause the game loader to iterate through all of the rooms, but some of the rooms hadn't been assigned yet, so you get a null reference error. And that's what that was. So now we've got, we'll go through and kind of think out loud what we got here, and then move on to whatever the next step is. We've got a Moosecat spawner, we've got a room selector, we've got our, we've got game state, we've got our room selector, we've got our adventure selector. So the next thing that we want to do is go through and see if adventures are saving correctly. So in order to do that, we unfortunately can't switch from here because we only have one adventure currently, so let's fix that. Go into adventures, and we'll say debug adventure. And we'll even, once we clone it, we'll call it that as well. And this obviously won't update yet, but once we stop playing and play again... Oh, whoops. I zigged when I should have zagged. There we go. So now we've got our two adventures, and we can see in the console window that we can switch between them. We will load our data. We've currently got the Into the Great Woods selected, so we will grab a Moosecat, which I suppose we should make that next as our Moosecat selector, just so that that's also faster. But for this quick test, we will not. Go in, find one that's got a cat right here. And Adventure Editor, grab that cat, put it in there. Invoke. Now we see there's a null reference there, so we'll go fix that. And then we'll go from there. That's in the... Hold on. He says as he slowly makes his way over to turning down his headset a bit. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do here... Thinking. Right. We want to go into that class, which is the adventure data, add Moosecat. Alright, and then we go down here. And right here. So let's see, where is it failing? Line 132. So this Moosecat's list is empty. And yeah, it looks empty rather than null. Are we ending up with a null reference? Oh, in fact, we could actually probably remove this setter because I think we've fixed that. Or rather, make it private. Anyways, so let's see, 132. So it would be the data itself, perhaps, is missing a Moosecat. Let's go look. Ah, so we're not actually updating this content yet. Or we are, and we are nulling it out. That's entirely possible as well. Because we see here that in the init, we're clearing it. So then what we want to do is confirm that we are adding it. So we'll go look at our loader. And we do see that the spawn request is happening. And when we look at on Moosecat spawn, we see that the spawner is doing it. And when the spawner does it, it calls the spawn Moosecats function from the spawner, as you'd expect. And that's happening down in here, which should be getting down into this. So we should see this data be non-null, but obviously it currently is. Alright, so we'll just kind of work backwards, figure that out, and then move on to the next thing. Okay, at this point, this is cleared as you'd expect, because what happens is when you have it going, it should clear on start, yes. And then we load, and it's empty. So then that tells me when we go and look at the loader that that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, because those are all temp datas. And the spawning is happening here. This is all fine. So we'll just do a breakpoint here at the loading step and see if it is working correctly. In fact, we'll also do one here. Okay, so that's fine. We already know rooms work. Yep, that's still fine. Okay, so at this point... Oh, it's actually not going to let me see the prior data structures? Ah, here we go. Ah, Moosecats count 0. Okay. And so when we go back to our Moosecat spawner, we see that it is perhaps not making it down to here. Hold on. Oh, yeah, okay, I see. I zigged when I should have zagged. We really... You know what? Let's just take a moment to actually fix these classes, because they should just be one. There's no reason to have two. So we're going to put a button here. And then, what do we know about this? So if a value is coming through and it equals null, we need to do a few things. The first things first, we're gonna... Regardless, we're gonna spawn a Moosecat. That can be true whether or not it's null. And then, if it is null, we're going to give it a randomized name. And we're not going to return. If it's not null, then we are going to do this. We are going to get rid of this. This can go in here. And these two can go in here, I believe. And either way, we would add the Moosecat. So now we're going to think back on this real quick. So what we're saying is, if we call this function and no data structure is sent through, the result of that means that we create the cat regardless. We then give a random name. Otherwise, we're getting Moosecat data through here. We can actually see that here. And we will, for our own reminder, we'll actually put this here. Okay, so we have it at null. If it is null, we just make a random name. Then if it's not null and we pass data through, we grab the name from the data, assign the data so that you can get it later on the cat, and then we assign the cat to the data structure. Again, in the future, we may find that we're able to consolidate those so that we don't have sort of circular logic, but the reason we have this circular reference pattern in this case is for data saving and loading. And then regardless, we add it to the list. Okay, now we've consolidated that. We will now go back to this thing, let it compile if there's anything to compile still. This should still be hooked up. It is. Now, when we hit load, when we go back to the Moosecat's data, there we go. My one major complaint is I see here that the room positions are -9001. So naturally that means to me that we need to examine these. First things first. Okay, they are getting their name, so it is passing through the data. And then we'll go look at the Moosecat structure itself. So when it's attached, that's happening there. And then for Moosecat data, did we make room position a public? We did. Privately set, which is right here. So when a room is assigned, it should work. And so when we go and look at the spawner, we see that room is being assigned here, so we're going to come back and we're going to breakpoint at this point. Easy peasy. We don't need to worry about that anymore because we know it's working. And the value is not null. That should be 0, 2. We'll continue. -1, -3, continue, -2, 0. And we don't need this anymore. So we'll go look. Now we see that this is wrong, so then we do a bit of thinking. Obviously it's defaulting to this value, which is inside of this body. So this should be happening. Okay. So we're actually going to breakpoint here to see if it's working, and then there's going to be some kind of epiphany, which will make me feel silly, and that's usually how this works. -2. Should be that. This is in Moosecat's data. Okay. 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 That is all correct. We see that the names are assigning correctly, but the room position isn't. And let's go find out if adventures are assigning correctly. So our adventure, selected adventure is currently nothing. We will assign it to Into the Great Woods. Go into edit. We will grab one of our little doodads. Invoke. When we go and check the data, we should see that they are indeed assigned. Obviously the room's still wrong, so we'll work on that. In fact, it's interesting that the room is still wrong when they're going to the correct room, so we'll figure that out in a moment. There's something that is slipping my mind, as is often the case, and we will resolve it. Okay. We see that Into the Great Woods is saving, as expected. Stop, load. And load. Oh, interesting. So that tells me that the rooms did not assign correctly. Interesting. Oh, fascinating. So this needs to actually be getting cleared, much like... Okay. That's a blast from the past song-wise. Alright, so that's getting cleared correctly. Capture in the middle, as expected. Now it's being set correctly. Okay. The cat is being set correctly, but even in that instance, these values are not updating. They're just sticking with the initialized value. But when we assign them to an adventure, oh. Oh, yeah, I'm just blind. We go look at our data. That is getting updated, so it's not oblivious. So then -3, -2. Okay, so that is working. And we see here it just didn't stick again. Okay. So the fact that it didn't stick is genuinely fascinating to me. What if we set this to 0? Will it then default all of these to 0, 0 instead of 9001? No. Okay. So it is a visual issue. That is where it's assigning and where it gets. And it's telling me that in the background, it is saving correctly because when we save again, no, sure enough, when we save again, we do see that it clears out to negative 9001s. We're gonna find out. Intriguing. When they're spawned, the data is going through. Patching the room. So this is not happening. Yeah, okay. It is not happening. So then when we go back, Okay, so this is not happening. Oh, wait, go back to the loader. So this should be null all 3 times for what it's worth. Okay. That's correct. Yep, okay. Exactly what we would expect to see. Room editor, line 13. The current room, or selected room, quote unquote. Okay. That actually wasn't exciting at all, that was just me not doing something right. Which does tell me, if current room... Attempted to add a Moosecat when current room was set to null. Just so we can keep track of that. And then we'll return. Give it a load. Okay, that's all expected. 0, 1... Okay, so let's actually go in and manually set them real quick, and we'll go through a loop from there. Suppose we could actually... Oh, never mind, we won't. Go into Moosecat data. 0, 1. -3, -2. -2, 0. Give it yield save. Observe that it is correct. Room is not null. Okay. Alright. It's true, so it's going to pass this. And then now room position is 0, 1. Okay. Same deal. Same deal. Still wrong, though. Fascinating. And then, but these are going off now, so that's good. So we go back to the loader. Ah. I think we are assigning... In the load process, I think we are assigning them... getting my knee up. My thinking knee. Let's think here for a moment. Yes, right. So we actually need to find the cat. It'll be the same order, so... that. And then we'll say equals tempim data dot moosecat's eye. And then we'll do this. Whoops. And this one's still fine. Don't need that anymore. And then here, cat's eye. That's, what's that gonna be? Dot Moosecat, not that? Yeah, okay. So we were assigning the rooms in a scriptable object that we're then deleting, and I think that's just where I slipped up. So this should take care of that. We may have to do that down here as well. That's actually correct. Yes. Right, okay, so this is us finding the actual adventure, updating the progress on that adventure, and then adding the cats to that adventure. And we're just using the loaded data in this case to find it. But again, we can probably do that just by index. So we might just come back and do that in a moment. Stop this for a moment. Okay, so still not updating here, but we'll give it a second. So yeah, I think it's the loader. At the very least. Ah, the rooms aren't being updated either. Okay. That is coming from the correct location. Oh, it's funny that it's always the cats in there. Okay, that's right, 0, 1. 0, 1, cool, so that's correct. And we go in here. This is correct, that zeroes it out. And this. I'm thinking what the issue may be is that this, let's try making that just a public thing. Just so we can see it in the inspector. I have a sneaking suspicion that's what our problem is. It's all the fun of the refactors, though. Alright, so go check. And we go look at our kitty cats. We can see all of the data. And the room position, hey, it's all coming together. This is being passed either as value or something along those lines, rather than being just a pointer to here. Okay then. So let's go look at our spawner. So what we should actually be doing here I'm glad that, see, we figured it out. You just gotta make it public for a moment. So now we just need to think about this chunk. That is where our mistake is. So we're making the data, setting its name, setting its data, and then when we pass this cat through, it gets... Ah. Ah, and then we're making a new one instead of grabbing the data from the cat. Ah. It's all coming together. This is what happens when you zig instead of zag. Okay, we load them all. Yeah, there we are. Now we can go back into our Moosecat and make that a getter and a setter again. Awesome! I'm glad we figured that out. Yeah, just, you know, that's every problem. You just kind of poke at it until you find the solution, and cool, now we can get rid of that debug. I knew I was overthinking it. The problem was elsewhere, but my brain just couldn't... And this is sort of the thing with development, is like, if you get overwhelmed by not being able to figure out a problem, be it one you've made or one that somebody else has made, it can be really easy to just kind of like shut off your brain. And it's not super helpful. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to fix these references here. Either fix them, or if we find that we don't need them, get rid of these lists. So we know that the rooms are being spawned when we go back to the data loader. And we know that when a Moosecat is attached to a room, that it's getting its transform updated. What's not happening here is room dot value. Let's see, room dot add. Oh, is it just the room data object that does this? Attach room, get room. Let's go in here, buddies. Okay, so a room doesn't actually have a concept of that. It's just the room's data, which makes sense because that's how we were trying to run it. So, is this actually referenced anywhere currently? Well, I mean, it's referenced here, which is in the editor. So then on the data loader, we would want to oh, interesting. Whoops. We don't need this return anymore either. This takes care of the local reference for the Moosecat, so it knows where its room is. And then if we wanted to attach the Moosecat to the room, the simplest way to do that would be to use the this function basically, which currently does not have an event attached to it. Oh, excuse me. Poor body. Room editor events, and then we're going to go into the room editor here, add the event, and then we'll go down to here, game event listener, pop that on there. I've been kind of going through and don't know how helpful it is. We may remove them over time, but regardless, we're just trying it out for now, you know. And what we want to do is we want to attach this spawn Moosecat. And then in the data loader, oh, another Nier song. Nice. Okay. Do that. Serialize that. Ooh. Am I stuck? There we go. Always nice. I think my 4K capture deal is probably giving up the ghost over time here. It has gotten a lot of use in the last year or so, though. Okay, so then we go down to room editor. Do that. And the general idea of that naming convention is so you'll notice like the debug ones are all together, spawner ones are all together, and then over time these other ones will all end up the same way. That way you can just kind of see everything together and see if any particular thing perhaps has too many events attached to it as a concept. Okay, so that's hooked up. And then we would do... And we are passing through, I believe it is room editor. Do I have it open? I do. It's expecting a Moosecat. So... It's actually the same thing. Just so we make sure it's the same object. Okay. And now, in theory, and again, maybe it'll get deleted down the road. When we load, we go over to the selected, or not selected room, I'm sorry. If we go over to the rooms data, shoot, as they say. Oh, it's not attached. I must have been doing it at runtime. So not shoot at all. I think we're actually okay. Void. Okay. And, oops, value. Adds the selected Moosecat to the selected slash current room, and then value is value as Moosecat, just so we don't forget when we're hovering elsewhere. Okay, and that should be good. Oh right, got rid of my button. That should still work, should still be able to hover. Yep. Cool, okay. And then we can go here. Room editor, add Moosecat. And I'm actually going to probably split up these loaders into separate loaders for each thing later, just so again, it's cleaner and easier to read. And anyways, so we'll load that up, check rooms data. We still don't see it, but oh, here we go. It was tempting to add it to the room when current room was null. Okay. That makes sense, because we are not actually selecting the current room. How best to do that, if I care? This is always the fun part where you think for a moment. Well, the obvious answer would be to just directly edit the room data. Because again, you should just take the simplest path. Public void add Moosecat to room. Likely to only be used for I/O, but we will see. And then from here, we would pass Moosecat through. Moosecats.add Moosecat. And then if Moosecats.contains Moosecat, we would want to return log warning name. Oh, right, we actually don't have, so we'll just do we'll do it that way. Attempted to add a Moosecat to a room. It is already in ? Exclamation point. And we can get rid of that. Otherwise, add it. And then we'll go back to the loader. And let's get rid of this since we don't need to use it anymore. We'll still want it for later, for when we go to do that stuff, but... where were we? Attach Moosecat to room. Room, let's say... perhaps. This is kind of doing two different things. So let's do child Moosecat to room. That is more descriptive. And then public void assign room reference. Data.room equals room. And then we'll go find the two places that this is happening. Dot room. What was that? Assign room reference. Okay. And then we know that there was a second location, so we'll go find that. Room.value.room. Cool. So now these things do exactly what they say on the tin and not two different things. And that's good. Yeah, alright. No null reference errors. Rooms are all correct. We see that the Moosecats are indeed inside their containers. Hey! And now we need to fix adventures. Okay, so we will select an adventure. What's going on with our GUI? There you go. We've got it set to Into the Great Woods. We'll go down to the editor. We'll grab this one. We'll go check its Moosecat data. It is indeed updated. We will save. We can see when we save that it, what song is this? Interesting. We can see that it is indeed saved, which is right here. Not that you can see very well, because apparently part of my window is off screen. What can you do? You can fix it. It's probably what you can do. I guess. Oh, interesting. It actually is currently the entire... Okay. I just Control Z it a few times. There we go. Sure, we'll go with that. So we saved. We can close, reopen. When we load, we see the adventure again. So go check, and we see it loading correctly. Awesome. And then if we were to go look at the data, we notice that the Moosecats are not currently in there. So that's the next thing that we need to resolve for our loading. That would be down here. And it should be easy enough. Debug.log .count. If it shows 0 each time, we know where our problem is. If it shows 1 once, then we just fix our link. If it shows nothing ever, then we come back and think for a moment. Ah! Ah! Ha, ha, ha. Yeah. That's the one downside to shorthanding names and stuff. Again, I'm going to just move these into their own classes after this, I think. Not necessarily today, but general rule. Okay. And there you go. Now that Moosecat's there. So we fixed that as well. So now we fixed all of it, I believe. Well, let's find out. Let's test. Let's set the progress to this one to 5. Save. Load. Hey! Yep. All right. Everything is correct. Cool. So then that raises the question of what we need to do next. I think I said I wanted to make a Moosecat selector down here, much like our other debug options, just so it's a quicker path to finding one. And so we don't actually currently have anything like that for Moosecats, any sort of shared, like what's the current Moosecat you're clicking on? Whether or not, in fact, if we end up doing that down the road, that may help us get rid of some lists for lookups. Because, I guess we'll see. We really, when you go to build the user interface, that will determine what information needs to be stored where for lookups, that sort of thing. We may find over time less and less redundancy, which is always, you know, good. But regardless, let's give this a shot. So basically, we need it to give us a list of all the Moosecats that are in the scene, which means it's likely going to be very similar to the selected the rooms. Okay. So with that in mind, we have a drop down that we can assign in a moment here. That's room, adventure, Moosecat. Okay. Might as well copy the rooms. Adventure, Moosecat. Update Moosecats, drop down. Yeah, sure, we can go with selected. And so we clear it, and then we say Moosecats data dot Moosecats dot select. We'll go with m dot name, cat name, sure. And then we will add the Moosecat names, and then we will not make that same copy paste error that I was making last stream. At least not yet. We can do it on something else. And then we can probably Give it a button temporarily to test it. And then we just need to make the actual drop down so that we can assign it. And yeah, we're off to the races at that point. Okay. We could probably stretch this over a little bit. I somewhat envy people who don't have their stomach constantly filling up with gas, basically. Let's see here. Do we need that on these ones? Game mode, selected adventure on selected room, on selected Moosecat. Oh, yeah, I see here. Click void, on selected Moosecat, change. Moosecats. Oh, right, we don't... How do we target highlight specific transform in hierarchy in code? Selection, okay. Unity editor, alright. Unity editor dot selection dot alright, returns active game object. Selects an object with a context. Is that what I want? Ah! Equals new object. And then this value here will be Moosecat equals Moosecat data, Moosecat value dot Moosecat. And then we pass Moosecat through here, I believe. How did I... Oh, selection.objects. Is there just an object one? Oh, okay. So in theory, this will work. Let's find out. Okay, let's load our scene. Go down to our debug canvas, update the selected. We got our 3 Moosecats. If we click on one... Whoops. Why is it updating adventures? That's why. Okay, so it's not actually selecting it right now. But that's still some level of progress. Cat change, because they're not getting an error. So that tells me that I'm getting close. What is this? Okay, so we got our cats. Click them. Hey! It actually did work. It's just over here. That was not expected. I was expecting it to highlight it in the hierarchy. That is almost helpful. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, that's not super helpful. We're getting there, team. Oh! Oh, interesting. Editor. GUI. You know what? I'm not trying to show off here. I'm just going to copy and paste it from the internet. And then let's try that. Whoops. Ain't nothing for it to catch. Oh, look at that. Oh, that is beautiful. Okay. I'm feeling good about that. All right. Fantastico. So now we can rapidly get any Moosecat in the scene. You know what? I kind of want to go through and do that with all these other ones too. Like when you assign the thing, have it like find the room, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Maybe add a button next to it. But yeah, oh, sweet. And then we can just go and if. So now none of this will get compiled when we build, as opposed to doing something in editor. Okay, and then we want to update the Moosecat dropdown each time a Moosecat is spawned. Interesting. I don't remember. This might be too early. I think the request... Yes. So we would need a debug event. And then... that would update our Moosecat dropdown. And the best place for that to happen presumably would be here. And we could do it right after this. And once again, we're just kind of boxing this stuff off because we don't need it to happen outside of the editor. And later we could even add a namespace for debugging on, something like that. Did I not serialize that? I didn't. Don't tell anyone. That would be embarrassing. All right. Right, we gotta actually load the stuff for it to be tested. Hey! Okay, so all of our pages now load when rain. when content is updated. Ooh. Those are no reference error if I spawn a new one. Debug manager line 62. 62. Close all but this. Ah, I see. Because I had a function there for... Right. But it's not being used by anything. Except for this button, I would assume. Yep. Okay. We'll just do that. Just so I don't have weird zero reference code. Fantastico. So... is it because... let's see, what did it fail on? Well, let's load it again and find out. That's all fine. And then we'll do some breakpoints here. Okay, this is fine. It's always weird to me when it won't... Okay, so is that where the failure is? The fourth one? Ah, so it's on the fourth one. So the cat that's being spawned has a null reference in presumably the name. Let's go look. Because it would be coming through. The name would get set here. We go look at the Moosecat's data. Yeah, there you go. Name's empty. And this is because... the event should be sending just a null. Yeah, so it just sends a null. Which means the name should have happened here. So let's put a breakpoint there. Let's try again. And we got a Moosecat with the name gibberish, basically. Data being null is fine. I mean, it's actually not fine. Or no, yeah it is, because it gets the data added here. No it doesn't. Oh. So we would want equal new, and we don't have, there we go. That's assigning the cat to itself. Because this is if it's passing through. If it's not passing through, we need to make one. We should actually move this up one. Then set the name. Then... does that mean this one could then... nope, that's fine. Just trying to get it all in the same order. This can now be out here. Oh no, it can't. So the data is what's being passed through, but if there isn't something being passed through, we're making a new one, and then we're adding it. Okay. I think that's sufficient. Yes. We'll see. Getting too late for my brain to think that hard. Clearly that's a function I'll want to eventually go back through and revamp. Okay, so it did not break anymore. It just doesn't have a name. And if we check that cat... Oh, it does have it. Oh, we've got another one of those loose dangling bits. Okay. So when we add the Moosecat, it does get added here. And that would be this structure. Okay. Spawn. Okay, it's got its new one. It's got its data structure. Wait, wouldn't its name just be in here? Yeah, I think it should be. Must have been tired that day. Okay. And then we'll fix the references to that. Create a Moosecat and attaches the game objects to the data structure. And then we have the cat name up here, which we need to associate. And that's totally fine. We will eventually want to make its own function so that it's more official. Oh. We don't need to do that anymore. Oh, now we're getting really close to the same thing. Okay. And so this, in this case, it is being passed through by the... Oh, yeah, let's just do it this way. We're getting closer and closer to truncating this thing. So, if the data couldn't be cast, because it's presumably null, then it'll make a new one, and it will assign the name. Otherwise, it'll use the one that's got passed through and assign the... Sorry, glancing here. We don't need that anymore. Otherwise, it'll use the data structure that it sent through, which includes the name, and it will assign the Moosecat that was just spawned to that structure. And then that also means that Uh-oh. That sounds dangerous. Head. Oh yeah, we could just do a contains. Isn't that right? Or is this a data? Is data. So it's basically kind of like a contains. Sure, let's give it a shot. $59 in the debug. And when we go and check the data structure, indeed, we still see that's the case. But when we check the cat itself, which we actually can't because we have it set back as a property, I think? Quite possible. What happens when we load? Oh, right. Now we have some issues with the JSON itself because we changed the structure of the cats. That's fine. So we just need to go through and fix this. catchy. King of Fighters, apparently. We add the Moosecat. And its data gets passed through. Easy enough, we'll just do an attach there. Ah, there you go. Data equals null. That'll do ya. So it is a bit circular. Okay, do that. That. Right, gotta stop. Hey, and then we go check. Hey, alright. And so that added a new cat, and then if we hit the loader... Oh, the loader's gonna fail because we made the new structure. So, let's spawn a few more cats, and then we'll set it to room building, make a few rooms, and then we will set it to selecting. We'll select this room, go to the room editor, and we will select, let's say U. Whoops, the easiest way to do this is go like this. Do that. Oh, I thought we selected a room. Oh, we hadn't. Because you have to be in playing in order, right. We can actually get rid of the room selected mode, probably, but we'll come back to that. And then, right, so we were gonna add that cat. And let's see, room editor 24. So that would be this one. Okay, so that is correct. We'll do a couple breakpoints here just to see if the issue is the Moosecat itself. Which it could be. We might actually be passing through Moosecat data. We'll see in a moment here. And that's totally fine if so. You know, you gotta attach if you want to actually see. There you go. Okay, so we're passing through null, and that is because it is actually. I mean, I guess technically it's a game object that's passing through. But at least we know it's null now, so that's fine. That's this, which is caused by this function, the add Moosecat function, which is this. And right now, if we were to do a debug.log value.typeof, or get type rather, I suspect that we will find that it is game object and not Moosecat, and so we just need to do a get component. Not a big deal. And then we'll go down and we'll select one. Oh, interesting. Room selector, line 27. This is correct. That's obviously not correct. Yep, that's us casting properly there. Well, as with anything, you just keep debugging on and going forward. And we'll select. So room is correct. Okay, so here's where the issue is. Current room is not updated yet. Oh, if we're in play... Oh! Wait, no, we want to be in play mode. That's right. Okay. So we did hit a room. And that's going to be correct. Room will now equal this. Nani? What? Ah, this isn't up... Oh, okay, so this isn't updating when I change states currently. Looks like. Alright, that's fine. We'll fix that later. But boy howdy, was I confused for a moment there. Room editor. Gonna drop in, attach again. Spawn a few of the old kitty cats. All good. And then we're gonna Go to our editor. And when we check the... I actually don't see the debug down here. So is it literally passing null through? No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So it's a game object, so that's fine. And then, so this is game objects. And then we're gonna say Moosecat equals game object dot get component Moosecat. And then that should do us. It's just because I changed that this was originally only allowing you to pass through the component, and then we updated that. So oh, it did it again. So it only does it the first time. Okay, well, we will keep that in mind. And we'll come back to that in a moment, and that'll probably be the last thing we saw today, I think. Yeah, it fails at room selector 27, which is right here. Anyways, let's, now that we do have a room selected, put that in there. And then we'll do it again. We don't need this message anymore because we know it's working. And then we will save. Okay, we see our cats going into the right rooms. We see all the rooms in the right places. So now we want to do a breakpoint on the room editor, which may fail because we just had code edited at runtime. Okay, it stopped it. Don't need that anymore. Playing's fine. So room is currently fine. Okay. All right. We figured it out. We got there. Value is currently null. And that happens in the init here. Okay. So current room is set in set current room, and it is nulled out on init. So we should actually be doing set current room here. Oh. Okay, that's in the debug manager. Okay, so we're good, because we know what the problem is now, so... Okay, so there's nothing for that otherwise. And that was working because the debug manager was doing it, but not the actual code. So what we're learning here is that we don't want to null that value out. We want to null out the room, if anything. Like, we could just clear this other data if we really wanted to. Or even add a reset to it. Okay. So we load, switch this to playing, select this, no errors, go into the room editor, grab a cat, add it, and we're just gonna set that back to playing again. Room editor, add a cat. Whoops. Keep it at playing. Oh, that's just error pause on something that's not an issue. I mean, it is an issue. I gotta fix it later, but this is all working, so it's fine. Room editor, grab a key. Okay, and one more. And then we will save. Load. They're all in the proper rooms. And then let's assign somebody to an adventure. And let's go grab, let's say you. Oh, there's 2 in this room. That's totally fine. Okay, and if we go and look at the data, we'll find that they are indeed in there. In fact, let's just set somebody to the debug adventure as well. How about their nearest neighbor, something like that. Yeah, I like that better, because then we know for sure. That would help me. Okay. And then we'll save. Load. And go check our... We'll go start from top to bottom. Awesome. Got cats in each one. Don't need this open. Awesome. Got the 2 cats with their adventures. Everyone with their rooms all set up correctly. Everyone with their names. This is just whatever for now. All of this is correct. We got the 2 cats in that room that we talked about earlier. And yeah, okay. And then selected adventure should be empty. Selected room is obviously not clearing out the cats that are in it. But if we did select a room, now it's updated properly. Cool. And so what we can do is in here, we could just, you know, clear, or we could literally do what I just said and go into rooms, or would it be room data? It'd be room data. Apologies. Public void reset. Room equals null. Position equals vector new int negative 9001 9001 Moosecats.clear resets our room data. This should only be used for IO. Then we go back a few. Value.reset. Boom. Okay. And then we'll go test it real quick, because we've already had surprises from other little finagly things. And that already looks promising. And then we load. And we check it again, still fine. And then we will select a room through normal gameplay first. Okay, so we see that this is correct. This does not appear to be correct, so we'll figure that in a moment here. Room selector. Alright, so this is going to be similar to the other issue where we are updating something that is not what we think it is, basically. So we go in here, we see that this updates properly, which tells me that we want to go look here. Current room is having its value set. Meanwhile, set value. Ah. Yeah, okay. So what it is this is not updating, this is not updating. What's updating is a property that's hidden. I swear, this is deja vu, but it was for something else. That was for Moosecats. It's good, though. These are learning lessons that as you move forward, you just avoid them and other things. So we made these roughly around the same time. So, we need... On game data, we're using... Rooms data has current room on it, I believe. Yes. So we might as well grab that. And then down here, just do that. Because then the debug menu and the game are going through the same functions, which they should. It's bad form to do them differently. I don't know why I did initially. So we'll load data, set this to playing, click that. Oh, yeah. Nope, that's on me. I literally thought to myself, am I forgetting a reference? And I was. Okay, hit play. Load data. Set it to playing, click that. Room is updated. And then if we go check selected room, all updated. Okay. And we click this one. Okay. Yeah, we're good. All right. So now that we've fixed all of the bugs, some we made new because we were refactoring things, and some that we didn't even realize we had, we can start thinking about not necessarily doing it tonight. I have to go mull it over, but and I'll actually show you. So we'll load up and we'll select an adventure. Into the Great Woods is fine. We need to take care of what happens when an adventure starts, which we don't have any debugs for. We should probably add. And then the duration of time passes for it actually finishing, which we see here. Adventure has begun and completed. It sent out its event. So the next thing that we need to build is the reward system that adds whatever it gives you to your inventory. And so that'll be our next step. In fact, it says here O5 resources. I think we may switch that to O5 inventory and have that be our next phase. So that was a productive day, especially given feeling a little bit under the weather, but if you can get stuff done on the bad days, then the good days are even better, I think. Yeah, thanks for watching here, there, anywhere, wherever you do, and hope you have a good day.